Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so if you're looking to pick up a new skill, maybe pick it up quickly, but, really get it
Mhm.
thoroughly. You need strategies that kind of bypass the usual grind, right? The
Yeah.
frustration. You need stuff that focuses on engagement. So today, we're diving deep into language acquisition, specifically how to learn English effectively, but without all the stress. And the sources you've brought in, they're interesting. It's not a textbook, is it? It feels more like a manifesto for actually enjoying the process. We're looking at this guide, Have Fun Learning English in 3 Steps, and our mission really is to pull out the most actionable and crucially the most gameful strategies from it. So you don't just study English, you actually start living it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what jumps out straight away, I think, from this material is how it acknowledges the biggest hurdle isn't really the complexity of English itself. It's boredom, it's burnout.
Yeah.
So the whole structure, it really emphasizes making the process fun, playful. Think of it as an anti-overwhelm approach.
Yeah.
It's designed to sort of trick your brain into absorbing the language without that heavy feeling of formal study. We're shifting the goalposts here, away from perfect grammar towards just consistent, enjoyable engagement.
That reframing, yeah, that feels key. Because if it feels like homework, you just stop, don't you?
Ex-
But if it feels like play, you stick with it. Okay, so let's jump into the structure then. Fun starts right away with step one. Let's unpack this. Play with English. Info. The guide gets pretty specific here with methods for immersion that honestly sound completely painless. It leans heavily on using entertainment you're probably already consuming. Stuff like watching movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, all in English. Or listening to music and actually trying to, sing along. Which sounds great, but I mean,
Uh,
for a beginner, won't that just be frustrating if you only catch like a fraction of what's being said?
that's a really fair point. And that's where understanding the purpose of this step comes in. The source isn't aiming for perfect comprehension straight out of the gate. Not at all. This is about establishing what you might call passive intake, just listening, watching, letting the language wash over you without the pressure of memorizing every single word or rule. Think of it like soaking up the sound, the rhythm, the cadence of English.
Okay, passive intake, so just kind of absorbing the vibe of the language.
Yeah. Precisely. Because your brain is amazing at pattern recognition, right? Even if you don't consciously know the rule for, say, the past perfect tense, hearing it used correctly again and again in a movie you enjoy, it subconsciously lays the groundwork. You're building the neural pathways that make learning the actual rules later much, much easier because it already sounds right in your head.
Ah, okay. So the passive viewing builds the foundation. It turns what sounds like noise into something with structure. Makes sense. But where does the active playing part come in then, in this first step?
Right, good question. It comes through specific kind of low-stakes interactions, games and apps, basically. And the source is smart here. It highlights tools that give you immediate feedback, that little dopamine hit. It explicitly mentions playing word games,
Hmm.
riddles, or using specific apps like Duolingo, maybe even board games like Scrabble.
Scrabble in English. Yeah, okay.
Think about it. When you play Scrabble, you're not sitting there thinking, I must commit these words to memory. No, you're thinking, how can I score the most points with these letters? The learning is almost a side effect. And apps like Duolingo, they work because they use gamification, right? Points, levels, streaks, spaced repetition. It makes picking up vocabulary feel like progressing in a game, not like studying for a test. So it's this mix of tech and play that helps turn the passive stuff from movies into actively using words and phrases, but crucially without the anxiety you'd get in a formal classroom.
That distinction feels like everything. The second your brain flips from, ugh, this is work, to, okay, this is fun challenge, bam, you've unlocked a huge advantage for learning. Okay, so we move from playful input to actually trying to produce something yourself. And that brings us straight to step two, which, yeah, this is often the scary bit for people. Step two is speak without fear. And this is where it gets really interesting. The guide is very practical about how to do this. It lays out clear paths for conversation, suggests things like talking to friends who speak English, finding language partners, maybe joining online communities where the pressure feels lower. The goal here is just pure output, right? Getting those words and structures you've been absorbing out of your head and into the world. Doesn't matter how messy it sounds at first.
Exactly. And this section, for me, holds the single most powerful piece of advice in the whole guide. It's that crucial mindset shift. You absolutely must stop worrying about making mistakes. The guide is really firm on this. It says, point blank, every slip is a step forward.
Every slip is a step forward. Okay.
We really need to sit with that for a second because that fear of sounding stupid, the fear of error, it's The number one killer of progress in language learning. Full stop. When you're paralyzed by trying to be perfect, you're actually slowing down the brain's natural process of building those connections. But when you make a mistake and someone corrects you, or maybe even catch it yourself later, you reinforce the correct pathway much faster than if you just stayed silent. So a slip isn't failure, it's data. It's necessary feedback for your brain to fine-tune things. Realizing that is just liberating. It turns every awkward conversation into genuinely valuable practice.
Okay, that makes sense. Turning anxiety into a tool. But how do you balance that? Embracing mistakes, but also, actually tracking your growth. If I'm making slips constantly, how do I know I'm getting better and not just cementing bad habits?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How
Yeah.
do you know it's working? The guide offers a simple but actually really effective technique for self-assessment that tackles exactly that. It's the practice of recording yourself speaking.
Oh, interesting. Like on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Just record yourself talking. The point isn't immediate self-critique like, oh God, listen to all those mistakes. No. The goal is to build an archive over time. You listen back to your recordings maybe a week or two later, not to pick apart every error from that moment, but to actually enjoy hearing your progress. So you record yourself today, maybe struggling to describe your morning routine. Then you listen back in 2 weeks after you've been practicing. You'll hear the difference. It gives you objective proof of improvement that your own feelings, your own self-doubt in the moment might completely miss. It validates the whole messy process. It turns what feels like constant failing into, wow, look how far I've come. And that feeling, that fuels your motivation to keep going, keep making those valuable slips.
That's actually brilliant. A personal archive of success built from recordings. Okay, so we've covered playful input, fearless practice. That brings us to the third step. And this seems to be about moving beyond just consuming or practicing and actually building something tailored to you. Step 3, create your own English world. It emphasizes personalization, active creation. It kicks off with some really immediate physical immersion ideas. The guide suggests a very hands-on, low-effort thing, literally labeling items around your house in English. So instead of just trying to remember words from a list, you create these constant real-world reminders. Every time you open the fridge or glance in the mirror, you reinforce that word.
And that's powerful because it taps into what psychologists call contextual anchoring. Our brains remember things much better when they're tied to a specific place or sensory experience. By sticking labels on things, you're pulling English off the page, out of the app, and making it part of your physical, functional reality. English stops being this abstract thing you study and becomes, well, part of the furniture, literally.
Right, it makes it unavoidable in a gentle way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the real engine in step 3, I think, is the push towards creative output. It's not just about labeling existing things. It's about generating completely new stuff yourself. So the guide encourages creative things like writing short stories, maybe drafting simple comics, even just trying to craft jokes in English.
Okay, short stories, comics, jokes. They sound kind of similar, but I guess they exercise different mental muscles, don't they?
Totally different muscles. Writing a short story, even a very simple one, forces you to think about complex sentence structures, narrative flow, keeping your tenses consistent, finding descriptive words. It's high-level construction work for your brain.
Okay.
Writing a joke, though, that forces rapid-fire vocabulary recall. And crucially, you have to grasp nuance, cultural context, timing. You need the precise words and structure to make the punchline land. So doing different types of creative tasks like these ensures you're building skills across the board, not just getting good at one narrow type of communication.
That makes a lot of sense. And the bit that really stood out for me, like the perfect summary of the guide's whole philosophy, was this super specific, almost game-like method for learning vocabulary in this step. It says you should make little challenges for yourself. And the example they give is just perfect. Learn 5 new words today and use them in a funny sentence.
Yes, that example is the blueprint, isn't it? It's structured learning, but completely disguised as a fun little microquest. You're taking these abstract bits of data, 5 new words, and immediately putting them into a memorable, practical context, something you created. And because the instruction is to make the sentence funny or personal, you're tying the new vocabulary to an emotion. That makes it stick way better than just, writing the definition down 50 times in a notebook. This kind of customization turns the huge, daunting goal of learning English into these small, daily, achievable, and actually enjoyable mini wins that build real momentum.
Right, breaking it down into fun, bite-sized quests.
Yeah. So if we look back at the whole 3-step flow, play, speak, create, the real genius is how smoothly it moves you from taking things in to putting things out, all while trying to sidestep that psychological resistance, that homework feeling that traditional study often creates. What's really fascinating is how the entire thing is built around that core idea. Learning has to be intrinsically motivating, fun, playful. It's a holistic approach designed to minimize burnout and maximize enjoyment, which is the only way, really, to guarantee you'll stick with it long enough to see results.
So, what does this boil down to for you, the listener? Well, it means maybe throwing out that mental image of sweating over dry grammar drills. It means replacing hours of forced study with these small, enjoyable, consistent actions. Watch that show you love anyway, but maybe try to actively catch 3 new phrases this time. Try singing along badly to that complicated song. Commit to writing just one sentence, however simple or silly it feels, in an online forum today. Small steps. And since the absolute bedrock of this guide is that idea that every slip is a step forward, we want to leave you with a final thought, something provocative maybe, to act on. If your real goal is to accelerate your progress, what's one specific, challenging mistake you are willing to risk making right now? Maybe in a conversation, maybe in writing something. A mistake that feels a bit scary, but making it will guarantee you take that necessary step forward today. Identify that error you're willing to embrace, and then go make it. Honestly, that's the fastest road to learning. So we've unpacked the power of passive, fun immersion, the absolute critical need to speak without fear, and the joy of building your own personalized English world, all thanks to this really actionable 3-step guide.
Yeah, absolutely. Go implement these fun, low-fear strategies. Start seeing your learning journey less like a test you have to ace, and more like, well, like the ultimate, engaging word game. You'll likely surprise yourself how quickly and how happily you progress when you stop being afraid of the slip-ups.